My Illumineers, we have returned, and finally, history is underway. The first CCQ is beginning now. Round number 1 is starting. I am not alone, as always. I have Katie from the Lore Keepers Inn who's going to be joining us for round number 1 of the CCQ. Katie, how are you feeling this morning?
The vibes are electric out there.
Yes.
People are thrilled. I'm thrilled. Going around being like, who are we seeing on stream? Who are we going to see winning this thing? Who's going to get the first CCQ? Who's getting the first Elsa Icemaker promos? All that's going to be decided today in this room.
I am super excited for it, and electric is a great way to describe what's happening. The venue is stacked. There's so much activity, not just with Lorcana. All sorts of different events are happening simultaneously, so it's actually jam-packed in the venue right now. So make sure you guys tune in. We have round 1, which is underway. We're kind of a little bit behind schedule. Going to hop right in and talk to you guys about what's happening. So with that, let's go ahead and switch over and get this. The players are ready, Katie, and I'm ready. I know you're ready. So let's get this thing started.
I did get an extra shot of espresso, but I don't think I needed it because honestly, seeing those finals, seeing that people are out there getting excited, as they say scientifically, locking in.
Yeah.
And here we go. We have ink hearted here on Amethyst Steel versus CakeWizLiz. Love that very much. I love any alliteration or rhyming, and she is on the Mean Green Bleeding Machine.
Mean Green Bleeding Machine.
Mean
Lock
lean
that
green,
in.
yeah.
I think that's what we're going to call it. We're talking about alliteration, as we just saw at the top 4 of the 5K event. Huge shout out to Tiago. Huge shout out to Ryan for a well played match on both sides. We saw the Amethyst Steel versus the Emerald and Sapphire in that matchup, but now we have it again, and the roles have been reversed. Let's see if Ink Hearted can have a bit of an upset this time, because it seemed like that matchup was quite hard, Kate.
Yeah, there is a young man out there that has taken the Lorcana community by storm, and his name is Tiago. And he has shown that illusions are quite powerful, but looking at her deck, I'm seeing some things that aren't illusions. We're seeing a rider right there, which is very real, very apparent and not illusion-y. And I also see Calhoun, so this might be a different flavor than we've seen from Tiago. And we start also with the Clarabelle turn 1.
I like it. A little Clarabelle on 1. And speaking of that rider, I think rider's better than the Dumbo. Take it right to the bank. Okay, there it is. I won't get on. I'm off my Dumbo soapbox for today, as we'll lead Calhoun on 2 to follow up that Diablo. Is going to get a nice little sneaky, easy quest in with that Calhoun security guard. Pass back on over to CakeWizLiz is in the building. Hold it down.
Yeah, and I do see people asking, hey, what's going on? So the tournament from yesterday is wrapping up, and that's going on simultaneously. We've got a lot of things going on, but the thing that's important about the tournament yesterday is it gave some buys today. So there's some players sitting and feeling really good right now because they said, I did good yesterday, and I deserve a little buy as a treat.
For sure. And if you got to that top 4, Katie, you got 2 buys, which is such a comforting feeling, knowing that you're going into that event starting basically in round number 3. There's so much variance and so much wild things can happen in those first 2 rounds of a tournament. So having that comfort blanket of starting in round number 3, just showing why coming to those Friday events are very important. So if you have a PPG coming to your area, I highly recommend you go. And if you can, make sure you get there on that Friday event, because the value is going to be there for you if you're a great player.
Absolutely. And I will note that on the side of the board of CakeWizLiz, we do see 2 problems. Now, those problems can become 2 different things. Basil can pump up some other characters to really challenge into these Calhouns who can get around that resist. However, we have Clarabelle, who would like to be a big Clarabelle one day when she grows up. So it becomes those things where Ink Hearted is likely running strength, maybe even a cannon. But it's something where we don't have as much removal as we had last set. So you have to be careful and judicious. So we've seen players they have to make a good decision, and it's hard to make the right one because you don't know what CakeWizLiz is up to over there, but it's probably the opposite of whatever you plan for.
Absolutely, and you do bring a great point, because another terror of this metagame, or is going to become a terror, is this Baymax shift. You can put it on top of this Basil, you can put it on top of the Clarabelle, and you are going to like to put it on top of the Clarabelle in this case, and you could engage with this Calhoun, and I think that is a pretty nice challenge. You will fail to fire the cannons, or perhaps you can get some rebuttal on this Calhoun as a crackback, but that still doesn't feel bad, because in the card economy game, you do go 2 for 2, and you were able to clear 2 very threatening characters off the board. You don't hate that. I love this Baymax card. What do you think about this Baymax?
I love it for the flavor, right? It's universal shift is something we haven't seen before, and we haven't seen since. And you can put on anything. Tipo could be in there. Really, you put anything in there. Baymax can be in there. Baymax can be in his own, so he's gone. But it is a very flavorful thing. I love seeing how they play around with shift. We've seen Diablo with the discard. We've seen universal shift. We've seen puppy shift. So I do love that quite a lot. And he's been basically juggernauting through the meta, showing that he is a versatile card.
Absolutely, and he's back. I think this is his time now. I think the card hasn't been better, as we're going to pitch the Elsa Fifth Spirit with the Giant Cobra. Elsa, probably one of the best cards in the meta. I'm interested to see what's the other card in hand. It's probably going to be that Doc. Just trying to set yourself up for a nice little Doc play coming in on your following turn, as the Basil would have fallen victim to that Elsa quite easily.
Yeah, and there also is a thing where some of these Emerald decks, they do run a little bit of leftover discard. We
Hmm.
haven't seen discard as much, but if she does have a dock and she's like, this is one card I need, that is a little scary, a little precarious, but a lot safer than it was last set.
Absolutely, and we got another Baymax shift with the foil version this time, and we're going to just shift for a nice little cheeky and sneaky quest for 2. This character does quest for 2, 5/5 quest for 2. You love to see it, especially coming in on a 4-cost body, but electing to shift there instead of paying full retail value. What do you think about that?
It's dock o'clock is what I think. And it is interesting though you say it's chefs for 2 because a few times I was talking to some players about what cards we could put in to spice up the meta, and the big conversation was, but does it quest for 2? Because I feel like questing for 2 is just like almost a bare minimum. We don't see it here on Incarded side because there's lots of reach and lore gain here, but in this case. Yeah, a quest for 2, and that's good enough. And swing at 5/5. You can't ever like sneeze at a 5/5, especially in a meta where we're fighting for our life for some spot removal.
Yeah, I would concur with that. I think we got jammed up on another dock here. So you do have a
Yes.
dock. You do get a little dock chain, and you're able to quest for a little piece of lore there. Tipo is going to be in the hand. I believe that's going to be a Basil there in hand as well. As you're going to go ahead and get another. You're actually going to challenge in with the Baymax this time, taking out that giant Cobra.
Yeah, which we have seen some cards that can move. I believe we saw Baymax in the last round, the Baymax that was a promo for Nationals.
Hmm.
But we're seeing something that's very interesting on Incarded side. This deck is a economy deck. You don't need a lot of ink. You don't need a lot of things. You're just going to keep playing cards, getting those 2 cards at a time with Doc. But the problem you run into is she had Vincenzo in her deck, and that people are also talking about this meta's too fast,
Right.
too kind of grindy to have things like that. And then we see Vincenzo didn't even get to be ink. He didn't get to be anything. He was discarded.
That's a very interesting point, Katie. Typically, they're capping out at 5 ink. Usually, they get to that Bell play, they get to the Elsa play. If they're even playing Bell, I know they've kind of been reducing that card. They got all the 4-cost characters you can ever imagine. The dock chains and the 1-cost. Interesting to see a Vincenzo making it. Maybe there's some other layers to this build that Ink Hearted is using that we haven't really seen the full value of. As Elsa, the Fist Spirit, comes in, does what she does best, and clears this Tipo. Interesting chain of events here as seeing that Tipo coming in with no ability late game, maybe trying to set up some singers.
Yeah, I mean, the singers can be very. We saw You're Welcome earlier, so having somebody available. I believe You're Welcome is 5 cost, but also she can sing if she wants to.
And you can do that, or I'm saying like having an under the sea play available, like keeping that Tipo available.
Wrong
that
side.
Yeah, no,
Wrong side here.
It's all. These are long days and nights we're having, Katie. You
Yeah,
got it.
but we do see what I called Sailor called Clarabelle in a pinch. And that's Donald Duck Perfect Gentleman, reprint for set 9, originally from set 2. And it's a card where you see, we're like, I don't want to help my opponent. But sometimes you pair it with discards. Sometimes you just simply need cards, and you're helping your opponent, which helps you. It's a mutual. It's our card draw, which is so nice. So nice sentiment.
I like it. I think this artwork is just super hilarious.
Oh, look at that Dumbo.
That's not the Dumbo. That's not the Dumbino
who
that
are
we
you?
come to know and love.
I've never
He's
seen
an
such a thing.
imposter.
But yeah, I mean, it's a little bit evasive, kind of like Tinkerbell in set 1. That was an Emerald Tinkerbell that gives you just a little bit of evasive. When you play it, you get evasive until the starting next turn versus Tinkerbell in set 1, who only gave it that moment in that turn versus all the way around. But interesting here, but nice. It's nice to see a Dumbo where I don't feel so scared.
For sure, and I think this one is I think this Dumbo might be better than the other. Okay, that's it. That's the last one. I don't believe that to be true at all. That is a joke. Okay, but I do like the inclusion of this card. I think he is a bit underexplored as we are going to get that shift Clarabelle with this Donald Duck doing his thing, looking like the perfect gentleman. He's not raging out. I think that's kind of
it's nice to see Donald chill for a
Yeah,
second.
I like to see him calm.
He is a crash out king, as we would call it in the business. And how fun is it that there's Donald Duck, Perfect Gentleman, and Daisy Duck, the date?
Donald Duck's date. That's a little bit of lore there.
Yeah, put a deck together. Someone figure that out, not me. I don't have time, but I think somebody else could. But here we see the power of You're Welcome to be used on both sides here. It's a little bit of spot removal. It's not so bad if they get to draw cards because now you've got that beautiful bovine that I quite love. She's a card that was hard to make work, I feel like. She was popping up in decks.
Yeah.
She's always a tech card. You'd see kind of like, well, do you want to go more mid-range? Do you want to go more top-heavy? And now she's actually having quite a good time, and good for her. She's on the dance floor. She's a dancing queen.
It's her time. Her time is now. And I agree. I'm surprised that Clarabelle is still relatively moderately cost on the secondary markets and things of that sort, because I think this card is incredible, especially with two viable shift lines. And if you want to get really weird and bring in the other Clarabelle, the news reporter Clarabelle, bring that card in, quest for 2 with support. Maybe somebody can work that card into the meta as well, as we get the Jafar, Aspiring Ruler, I believe is going to be his code name.
Yeah, he's
going to be able to he's going to be able to base boost the Diablo, who can crash out into the Donald Duck.
Yeah, and shout out to the Diablo. I call it like the trio of little stinkers. We got Diablo, we've got Pegasus. We had Pegasus, or we had Pascal. He's no longer with us. He was rotated out.
RIP.
But there's these little cards that you go, oh, I'm not that worried. And then they just hang out for a really long time. And eventually this one explodes into a card. So shout out to the little stinker cards out there.
Yeah, you got, and I've sit there and watched people try to not allow your adversary to get that card draw from that Diablo, and they'll just let them quest and quest and quest and quest, and then they'll finally reluctantly have to challenge it. You just got to go ugly early on that little bird, man. Get them out of there fast. You know, let them get their stinking card and just move on about the cabin, as we are going to continue to draw with this perfect gentleman. And I've learned you got to get this guy out of here too.
Exactly.
It might seem like it's a gift and a curse, especially with that Clarabelle sitting right beside him.
And I love what's happening in these decks where it's making you make these choices. It's like you got choice A or choice B, and you know in your mind they might both be bad ideas. They might.
Yeah.
It is kind of, you have to pick your poison, because I mean ultimately you only have so much removal, you only have so much challenging, and ultimately you're like, you know what, I get to draw a card, that's not so bad. But then CakeWizLiz is saying, well, I'm working on some stuff over here. Perhaps I'll have a little heads held high, a little under the sea. As we know, we saw last weekend, you have to dig really deep to get those combos fired off. I see it under the sea, but it's tricky. I mean, the board wipes aren't like they used to be. You gotta work hard.
You gotta dig a little deeper for the board wipes, as we are going to go ahead and send that Calhoun back to the hand. Notably, CakeWizLiz is only holding on to 2 lore, while Inkheart is sitting at 14, almost there at the finish line with the 2 quest and character up and active in play. So you're close, a couple giant cobras away, and you can just kind of sprint to the finish line here. So CakeWizLiz, I'm kind of saying CakeWizLiz. Oh my goodness, CakeWizLiz.
Thank you, Mike.
Maybe she's got a bakery or something like that.
Yeah, she's like, you want to see what I'm baking up?
Yeah.
And the answer is, it's hard. I mean, this is what is not a runaway game for Inkheart. Now we know that this deck has a little bit of reach. We saw White Rose, I think, early. Ooh, and there's a strength off the top. We know we saw some giant cobras. So the issue is this deck gets into the danger zone. It's not as dangerous as it was last set, where you had goats and snakes and all sorts of myriad of bouncing around, but it's still there. And that's why this deck can be very frustrating to play about, because as long as they had a pretty good start, a solid middle, they can still kind of slowly guide into that. They can land the plane with no gear. But here we go. Vincenzo, a body with a smash. How do you feel about this card? We said it might not happen, and here it is.
Here we are. I'm eating my words here, as Vincenzo has come down with a devastating 3 calls. But I'm telling you, Katie, if I see what I'm seeing correctly, I believe CakeWizLiz just drew the heads held high. So we will be able to go full combo next turn, and you're gonna lose this board for sure. You might not even need it. You might just be able to send some characters in and just go for the Under the Sea. Vincenzo is a great card, but he only has 2 strength, and playing him in the deck with Under the Sea, it's going to be a devastating turn of events if it deploys here.
And shout out, someone in the chat said, let's go Vinny, and let's go Vinny. He was not added. There's a lot of Atlantis characters coming in. Quite frankly, we got Wilhelmina, and we got no Vincenzo. So seeing him here, good for him. He's walking away from Explosion looking very cool. But like you mentioned, this heads held high combo, what it is, it's a 1-2 punch. We got heads held high, which is Sing Together. You're going to go ahead and remove some damage. Killer if you have some illusions, in this case, safe. But then you get that -3, which then paired with Under the Sea is a brutal. It's a board wipe. Expensive, 13 ink, 13 total cost, but effective, because now Inkheart has 0 cards on board.
Absolutely, and that is a devastating, gut-busting play. I think you could have even managed to even keep that Hell so high and maybe swing into the character, but healing your Donald Duck, there might be some value to that, because that willpower at 5 is going to take a lot for the Steel strategy to get through that 5 willpower relatively effectively, and you're able to get a little quest in for 4. So Inkheart still is in a pretty comfortable position here with only 4 lore required to get to the finish line. Let's see if they can get it done.
Now, I have noted that in a Hell so high, we'll see 1 or 2 copies. I see in a lot of decks, maybe 3. So what you mentioned, like, should you challenge? Should you do it? That's such a thing that I think is really important to watch these matches and see how they do it. But first, before I go to that, what are we doing? Where is this card? Magical Aid?
Magical Aid.
Yeah, Magical Aid.
We're in the spice bag over here.
Good job, Inkhearted. You said I'm going to play all my cards, actually. And so this is an action. I believe it's from Shimmering Skies at 5.
Yeah.
And so this card, we're here using it to character gains Challenger, which, as we saw, that's very helpful. We see with support. And when it's banished in a challenge, you go ahead and get back to your hand. You say, heal up, get out there, Allie, and then Genie sends it back.
I like it. And this card is sealed. This card is a menace to society. Okay, this card will break you down in sealed. However, in constructed, I've never seen it play, and I'm glad to see someone is trying some new things, as the Magical Aid is going to come on in. Clarabelle is going to get a little quest in, as we got Scrooge and Donald Duck both wearing top hats, skating.
I like it. I mean, the Duck family, they roll deep in their respect and their dapperness, and shout out to the Duck family. And I can't not look at this card and think about it as Dumbo's greatest enemy, because, as you said, I mean, if you're in a meta where where you're challenging out, you're brawling, it's quite nice to have this beefy Duck on your side with a 5/5. And he quests for 2. Like, he does it. He's a really great guy to have around. But here's the thing we kind of feared. on Inkhearted side, the lore burst, the burn they call it sometimes, or basically
Mhm.
you're just getting lore for hanging out, and we get one lore on board. So now we're sitting where we have the rare and indigenous, as they might say, Lorthal on board.
This is a problem. You're going to need another combo here. If you have, you do have another head tailed high. Can you get to the underseed? Do you have any more access to any more card draws? And it looks like you do not. You have the Clarabelle in hand, and you're not going to be able to engage with this active board at all. And I think this might be a GG throwing out the hand here soon, coming in from CakeWiz. So what did we learn here from this matchup? It seems like Inkhearted kind of has a little bit more reach in this deck. Notably, I didn't see any Dumbos, the ninth wonder of the universe, but we saw some Vincenzos pop off. And that might be the way. And we saw Riders in the build as well. So Inkhearted ahead of the meta.
I like this a lot because, I mean, I talked about this with some players. Like, do we think there'll be rogue decks? And it's kind of like, well, are the rogue decks good enough? And what I say is, you know, we talk about, is it good enough? Well, what are you trying to, is it good to win versus to get some wins? And I think the element of having slapping down a Rider, a Magical Aid, things like that, it can be very beneficial because your opponent is going to go, what is that? And I think anytime my opponent says, can I read it? I feel like I've won just right there.
Absolutely. But really quickly, we got a couple of our bounty players we're going to talk about for just a brief moment. Some of these players you saw yesterday playing in the 5K stream, and some of these players you may not know. But today we're going to get a chance to know these Illumineers. And if they are defeated in round, there will be some packs that are going to be given to their opponents. So they're going to be trying to fight hard today, and some players we're going to be watching out for. So make sure you guys see them. We're going to try to get them onto the stream as well, and to kind of do some interviews with them and follow them throughout the tournament to see how they are faring in the event. So this is who we're going to be following today. Shane Downey, had the opportunity of doing some broadcasts with him. He's a great player, great insight in the game. Hector, we saw him on stream yesterday. Johnny Diamano is going to be in the building. Hashtag Lorcana Dad is out there getting loose and active. So if you see these players in your bracket, make sure you take them down so you get a little sneaky, cheeky prize for yourself.
Shout out to that. Kinji Pat over here. Well, where do I get that? I will be
want that
reaching out.
outfit.
Yeah, I'll be reaching out and say all of that, yes, but also Brian and Gary, you look great. But if I'm next to that card, I'm like,
if I'm Brian and Gary, I'm disappointed you put me next to Kinshin Pan over here because I'm like, dude, come on, man. You could have told me this is what we were doing.
Yeah, okay. Well, I didn't know we were doing our cool warrior outfits, but shout out. I am intimidated. I hope she's wearing that today. I will be walking the aisles looking.
I'd love to see it as we are getting back into the action. We got CakeWizLiz is going to be on the approach this time versus Inkhearted. I'd love to see a little bit of banter here as these Illumineers just going back and forth, having a good time, being very chipper in this round number one.
Yeah, and that is always the fun part where you're still in the part of the game where you're like, it's anybody's game. Now, I have noticed in matches, sometimes the conversation gets a little more curt, a little more staccatoed as it goes on. If this ends up being 2-1 or 1-1 and they're going for game 3, perhaps the fun is over. But I do think a lot of Illumineers are fun, and that's one of my favorite parts is talking. Be like, how'd you do the deck? Where'd you come from? How you doing?
Because those nervous jitters tend to subside maybe round 2 or 3. If you're just tuning in, this is round number 1 of the 15K. It is underway. This is the main event starting now, round number 1. The finals of the 5K are underway. This is being recorded, so you will be able to find that on the PPG YouTube, wherever. We'll get the link for that when it is transcribed. We'll get the results of that here as well. But this is the round 1 of the 15K event. The winner of this tournament will receive an invitation to the national event. So lock in, wake up. Seat backs are up and active as we have the Clarabelle on the approach to face down the Palace Guard.
Yeah, and I did get notification. We have 298 Illumineers out there. Now, of those, some are sitting kind of comfy. They're like, I have a bye. I'm having coffee. I'm having a breakfast burrito. It's Denver after all. But these players, though, they have to play. Unfortunately, and good, because honestly, you want that momentum. Be undefeated all day. That's the real story here. A bye is undefeated. But here we go. We got the Tipo on 2. You love him. He's ramping. And so CakeWiz is off to a great start. She has got bodies, and she knows against Inkhearted, bodies are at a premium.
Absolutely. And just like we talked about in that previous round, that Baymax represents such a tremendous threat. Like this Palace Guard, you have to be hesitant about questing this thing because you need these bodies to sing your Strength of Radiant Fire. So if you do try to gain that lore, Tipo transforms into a Baymax and he knocks your block all the way off. You might, and we're going to go for the quest. That's a dangerous quest there coming in from Inkhearted.
A Tipo in a suit. That's my favorite. Honestly, Tipo belongs in there. That's the first card I saw. Someone be like, wouldn't that be funny? And I said, yes. Tipo getting the robot. So, yes, that Palace Guard might not be long.
But they didn't have it.
But you don't need it because now I got a big old duck over there. And he is here at a 5/5, questing for 2. He used to be able to sing Zeus. He doesn't need to anymore. He can do really anything he wants. So that Palace Guard This is a skinny board for Incarded. Incarded, would probably want a 1 on turn 1, 2 on 2 turn, to have 3 on board right now.
Right.
So this is not an explosive start, but we do know that she can go wide fast. I'm trying to see, it's a lot of 4 costs. I don't think this is her favorite way she started a game.
For sure.
With this deck.
And just based on some of the things we've seen in her strategy here, it seems like it's built more with some late game stuff in there. I think we saw that like there were some numbers of Vincenzo's. Maybe there could be some potential Tinkerbell things that are happening there. We saw that there was the other Dumbo in there that gives evasive, is evasive. We saw some riders in there, so there are some unique choices coming in from Incarded's perspective. I like to see that. I like to see players coming out playing the cards that they're comfortable with, not breaking the bank too much, which I think is a very important thing in this game. Some of these cards can become extremely expensive, and sometimes people get thrown off by the price tag. Well, guess what? You don't have to. You can kind of dig into the spice cabinet, find some alternate solutions, and come up with your own ability to play these cards, which is another great thing about this game.
That's been the best part of rotation for me, is it's given us a chance to say, okay, we know Amethyst equal bounce. Amethyst doesn't equal bounce anymore. Amethyst equals, what are you going to do with it? And it's been very fun to see. But now we see the dancing queen herself. It is Clarabelle light on her hoofs coming in and changing the math of saying, I'd like to draw cards. Would you like to help with that? And the answer is our card draw. It's my favorite. Honestly, that was my favorite. I wasn't mad at Diablo the first time someone said, and now it's our card draw. And it changed everything for me.
We draw? I'll never miss that, Katie.
Oh, okay. She says, if you do that again, so help me.
We draw? I draw, you draw, we draw, Diablo
I like
draw.
To make eye contact. You got to make eye contact.
Boiled my blood
okay,
every
don't do that to
single
JDZ.
time.
You can do it to me, not JDZ.
Knock it out. Just draw your card, man, and
don't
shut
make a
up,
production of
pal.
it, please.
Don't make the theatrics, buddy. We don't need you.
Buddy.
We draw, I draw, Diablo draw. Shut up, pal. We get it. Okay, draw your stinking card.
You say, Judge, he's being too jovial.
Yeah, this guy.
A jovial point deduction.
He's having fun. I don't want it. I want to be miserable. As we are going to send the giant Cobra into the Scrooge. Hefty cost we had to pay.
Exactly. That is rough. Now, sometimes with something like a Go-Go, I love that. Honestly, Go-Go's a card that I truly love more than many cards in this entire game, because she can change the math. She can make where you're like, oh, you think that's a good idea? Well, it isn't. But we haven't seen her do a lot.
Well, we can't. Not in this color. If they bring out more Go-Go's, I'm going to be, we don't need more Go-Go's,
no.
okay?
Well, but every time I see, I'm like, I miss her. Whenever I see someone lean into a big body challenge, I'm like, come on, I miss her.
Come on, Go-Go.
She's not coming that direction, but maybe she could come out just for me, but here you go.
Potentially, as we got magical maneuvered again, and you're able to save the body of your palace guard.
Magical,
kind of worked out.
Magical aid, and magical indeed, because it
magical aid, not magical maneuvers. Come on, that's a different card.
That's those got those Merryweather, Flora, and Fauna.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are 3 favorite fairies.
Which I think is another cool card that people aren't playing that much.
Yeah, and shout out to those cards here, because you read them and you go, you know, it'd be nice, a little help right now. And that bouncing, like we saw, it's quite nice, because it says, you're okay, come back to my hand, we'll come back next time. And with a kind of slower deck like that, it's not so bad, but there we go. We hear the Iron Man song playing right now.
One more time, what does that sound like?
I'm Iron Man.
That's pretty good. That was pretty good.
I know, it's like, I mean, Marvel Studios, hire me. I'll do all your FX. And here we go. We got a shifting party, which is kind of one of the more fun things. I think shifting is one of my favorite. I mean, singing and shifting is 2 of the things where like, that's Lorcana, baby. And that's Lorcana we got on board right now.
And that is a huge weakness of this Amethyst and Steel strategy. Heavy willpower characters questing for 2 repeatedly is now Incarded is going to have to deal with it, as CakeWizLiz is going to be on the approach. You got the Basil also kicking it over there, ready to support the hometown.
Now, I do think somebody pointed out something interesting. They're like, you know, magical aid is like crap. And we've said it a few times this weekend. This is like, be prepared at home. This is like this. And so I think this rotation has also made it where we're looking at our cards. We're like, how can I do the thing I know I like to do, but I got to be a little bit creative. And I got to do it in a way where my opponent, I get the most value for the least amount of investment, and possibly make my opponent go, and be caught off their feet. But CakeWizLiz is going spectacularly wide. And Incarded has way less answers than CakeWiz. And by way less, I mean, I think 0 compared to 1.
This board is absolutely built to last. 4 tough, robust, and resilient, as CakeWizLiz is getting super duper wide with it. The Calhoun, Blessed Treasure Guardian as well. They're not going to get it done for you. Not Flynn Rider, just regular
Ryder.
Just
Ryder, no Flynn.
Just Ryder out here getting loose, busy. I love that artwork. He's just like, I'm coming.
I love
jumping
it
over it.
because, my goodness, every time I see a Frozen 2 character, I go, yes, obviously that is Honey Marin, my favorite
for
character.
sure.
And shout out to Disney Lorcana for making me go, I gotta go watch a movie. Because how many movies have you watched since this game came out? Because you're
so many.
Yeah, you're like,
so many.
All right. Which you know all the words to that song. I will point out that.
I was watching Peter Pan literally last night.
Yeah,
okay?
because you're like,
just
what's
because
going on
I gotta
here?
stay abreast to this type of information, and I'm like, Shout out to the North Ondra queen, North Ondra leader, Yelena. Who?
Yelena, you know, I mean,
Yelena
crab
out
at
here.
home, we were calling.
There you go. Speaking of crabs at home, there you
Yeah,
go.
we're working higher. We're trying to make our things work, and yeah. But Ryder, he says, you know, I also am ink, and here he is into the inkwell with Dock O'Clock. Because we say these two cards are not helping you where we're going. Let's just hope the good ones are there, and we got a pretty good one. What do you see here that might change the map a tiny bit, not a ton?
And honestly, thinking about that play, it might be hard to do, a hard pill to swallow there coming in from Inkheart. You kick 2 cards with Dumbo, but you look over and you see that Clara Beezy sitting there exerted.
Yeah.
And you're like, I cannot sit here and give CakeWizLiz more cards. So I really, as painful as that was, I don't hate the fact that you had to do it. You're just trying to reduce the contents of your hand. But as you do that, you are losing more resources as well. Cards that could be ink, cards that could be played to the board. So that's a tough, painful choice, but that's the way the game is played sometimes.
Now, I am wondering if Inkheart is a true Maverick here. We saw her slap down the Genie. That's good for card draw. Is it possible at this point in this game, we're in game 2, that she played a Genie and just quest? Well, no, maybe, I don't know.
Was Genie played that turn? No, it was. I think we played the Rider and the Doc.
Thank you. Okay.
The Doc that turn, I believe, is what happened there.
But what I guess my larger point here is we're going to game.
We're seeing that one was chalked.
Is it possible that Inkhearted put in Dumbo but not the legendary? Because we haven't seen legendary Dumbo. So there's a chance she's just a Maverick.
I think Inkhearted is ahead of the curve. Okay, we're ahead of the meta over here. We're like Dumbino. Trash. Get him out of here. And okay, no Leon. I promise, no Leon.
I know.
In this
Lorcana
stream.
Villain's in the chat. He's probably like, we can't do that again, please. If we do that.
We're not.
And shout out to Lorcana Villain. He's always in the chat. Like, there's certain people that you just see, and they're like, I'm going to support you. And Lorcana Villain's one of the greatest in the business.
Oh, he's the realest of the real.
I mean,
he is absolutely goated, and I look up to him so much, man. I'm so literally and figuratively. Okay, he's like 6'12". Man is insanely tall.
Yeah, I mean. Every interview he gets taller. I watch and I'm like, I'm so scared to be next to him at Milwaukee because like they'll be like, hey, mister, can I be in this interview too?
He came out to the Ink event last weekend. I had the fortunate pleasure of meeting him again, and he's just so much fun. He loves the game so much, and he's just such a good ambassador of the community and a representative of everything Lorcana is about. So I'm so glad that he's a part of this thing, and I'm so glad he's here. So he's gonna be rocking and rolling, and he's got to stay tuned, man. He's got to stay tuned to the meta so he can keep people abreast to the latest and greatest changes. And if he's not locked into Dumbino down, Flynn Rider up. I keep saying Flynn Rider.
Flynn no Rider.
If I say Flynn Rider again, just toss me out of here.
Flynn no Rider. Just put that no
goodness.
in there. But yeah, I will say I was talking to some other casters about like who are the ones we look up to. Who do you think is like the best right now? And we're like, well, take off JDZ and Villain. They're obviously the best too. And then we went to the rest. So you guys were like in this echelon of like done. They're cemented. They're on Mount Rushmore.
I'm trying to get there. Villain is established. Okay,
he can sing,
done.
he can dance, he can do it all.
He's multi-talented, multi-talented.
He's got the EGOT of casting.
I'm not glazing Villain anymore. Knock it off, okay?
I like it.
More glaze, okay?
You saw the meme I posted of Elite Glazing Services?
Yeah, that's me, okay?
Yeah, you're Elite Glazing Services, and you can't clock out. You're here all weekend.
If somebody wants to subscribe to my Meta 5, how to glaze effectively, okay? I'll get you glazing. No, I'm kidding. But no, if you can't glaze your homies, who can you glaze?
Right. Like, that's like honestly my favorite part of casting. I'm like, this person's beautiful. This person's beautiful. I mean, because JDC exceeds everything I've ever glazed ever. He's like, I want to marry this person. I'm like, wow.
I love him. Okay, you gotta
move into my home, and I'm like, that's too far, probably, right?
If you can't give them their roses right now, then what can you do?
That's what we're here for, right? We're back here. We're calm. We're sitting in a chair. There's no stakes. I mean, the stakes are we're going to entertain you, but these people are doing the real job. So shout out to them. And we start with my favorite, one of my little stinkers. And honestly, Basil's another one too, where it's one of those cards that comes down and you're like, oh, I don't have to worry about that. But the Diablo, we saw get 4, 5, 6 lore in the first game.
And game number 1, so I'm sure CakeWizLiz is going to have to make some alternate adjustments there to ensure that these Diablos go down. But if you put this Calhoun down on 2 to protect this pesky bird, it's going to stop your adversary from challenging or questing. So it is a great little 1-2 punch, and we will find that Calhoun again on 2, kind of as an insurance policy for this Diablo, as the Clarabelle will be reluctant to challenge in.
Yeah, and that Calhoun, she's a card that it's an expensive card, and you kind of have to build your deck around the fact you included her, because you're kind of making a tone where that Calhoun, she's sometimes quite good for lurking, but sometimes she truly is just a threat. She's just there to say, whatever you're going to do, think about it. Think about it twice, buddy. And it's a really great picture, too. The art there is a really good, like, hold the line. That's exactly what she does, is she makes CakeWizLiz, who might get a few cheeky quests in, and it's now like, I'm a little afraid, I don't want to.
As we have to ink the large Clarabelle, maybe trying to indicate that you have another one, you just don't have a play here after that sale, the Azurite Sea. Your hand is kind of bricked. You have a lot of high-cost uninkable characters in your hand. So putting that big Clarabelle down, you're probably selling that you're going to shift this. This Clarabelle here. If you have a Fire the Cannons, you probably could just walk away with a victory here, as it is going to be Giant Cobra.
And Fire the Cannons is another. It's an uninkable investment. You're basically saying, I know this is going to pay off. And you really have to know the meta to know that that's a good investment. Because I mean, you're really like, if it's in your hand and it's not useful, you're like, oh, I can deal 2 damage. Oh boy! And so you have to know that it's going to pay off. And then here it has. We've seen in a challenging meta, cleaning up with 2 damage can be incredible. In this case, Calhoun, she might not be able to challenge, but she can quest. So these players have tested. They know that, based on what they've seen, this is the right call. But it does take a lot of judgment to know whether that's a good idea or not.
Absolutely. And also to know, I do agree with that a lot. And having a card like that, it could be terrible sometimes. But Incarnate, I think, is doing a great job of keeping her hand at a relatively moderate size to kind of play around that potential shift line. We saw last time he kind of got handled pretty tough by that Clarabelle shift. You saw one go down to the Inkwell. Granted, you're still a few turns away from that happening to you, but I like that little showing some discipline there coming in from Incarnate. As CakeWizLiz, I think it's time to shift and it's time to slam into this Calhoun for sure.
Yeah, and it's an expensive situation here, and it's one of the things that can be very frustrating about. Yeah, we see the Donald Duck. He's been here every game. Thank you for showing up, Donald. Or not Donald. It's not Donald. It's Scrooge. It's his uncle.
There you go.
My goodness, I gotta know the duck lineage.
Hey, it's a lot of ducks, okay? And they both wearing top hats, and they both are looking like dapper, established gentlemen. So I can see how the confusion can mount as Scrooge McDuck is going to come on down. This card I'm absolutely in love with too.
I know. I love a utility. I love a vanilla card that's so perfectly balanced. They're like, you're not vanilla. You are Neapolitan. You're all the flavors.
Like,
and speaking of which, we have a card that's not vanilla. It's Treasure Guardian, which is a card that you didn't see a lot of, but something happened where people go, I think we've reached critical illusions mass where it's going to work. And here we have the Treasure Guardian. You get to draw a card if you have illusion in play. And now we have Cobra that can sing. And now you're seeing the synergy here. These decks that maybe weren't archetypes you could truly pull off are finally coming into their own. And shout out to the illusions out there for having your time in the sun and getting card draw. It's a genie. Is it genie out? I mean, it's another situation where it does that thing that we like, but now it's different.
Yes, I concur with that one. And then also Quest for 2, Katie. And the stats aren't that bad. That 3/3 stat line, Quest for 2, and you gain a card to replace yourself to just help propel yourself into that later game. But you are going to get punished a little bit by not going for that shift line early. And now you had this singer set up and the characters to sing and take down. And now you could have came in with that Scrooge as your next turn because you didn't do anything in that previous turn, Katie.
Yeah, and she did use her strength on a Clarabelle, which shows how much she doesn't want that Clarabelle. It shows that she plans on drawing cards. Which is interesting.
Oh, this is looking grim.
That's a lot of Baymaxes. It's not. You need something to shift on. Otherwise, I believe it's 3 shift cost. And so I think CakeWizLiz is like, enough of the Baymaxes. I heard you say we should have played it, and I didn't. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But she's able to possibly ink here, play one, shift the other. Which I don't know why you'd put that duck in a suit. You wouldn't do it.
Well,
but
you could. If you wanted to, your next turn. If it survived, because you have to engage narrow. Never mind. Well, if you waited to another turn, they get another quest in. You could send the Scrooge McDuck into something, Baymax heal, and maybe force your opponent to use more resources to engage there. But this is looking long in the tooth. You took 2 full turns off. You can't win like that, Katie. You got to play your cards.
Especially against a deck like Inkhearted, which is going to go wide, and it's known for going wide and then just refilling. So even if you get to the point where you're like, aha, I did it, I cleaned up your board, it's still rarely ever over against this kind of deck. And I will note, I was like, why would you shift up? But to your point, healing is one of the things, and also emptying your hand. If that Clarabelle was able to stick and do something and become a big Clarabelle when she grows up, then shifting onto something again to just empty your hand so you can draw new, better cards is valuable. But in this case, she didn't get a lot of ramp. She didn't get a lot of resources. So I just think CakeWizLiz is at a situation where she's like, I am sweating a little bit.
Oof.
Oh, that's not good. So now
that's real bad.
11 lore with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on board.
Yeah,
CakeWizLiz.
Now this one you need to go full combo here, and I just know you don't have it. You need the under the sea, heads held high. We saw heads held high go down to the Inkwell, and this one might just be absolutely just Jover. This one might just be straight Jover, simply because Cake just took too many times off, too many turns off. You brick kind of heavily there on all those Baymaxes. I was talking Baymax too highly, and I think it just kind of jammed you up there. So that is a possibility. That's a realistic solution. Car should have been inkable.
Now, I will note that when we talk about this Calhoun, we talk about Fire to Cannons, these inkable cards, it's a gamble, right? You know they're super valuable. That's why they make them uninkable. It's because they know these games are going to make or break these matches. But as we saw, they can break. You can make, but you also break. So it is only round 1. Inkhearted's feeling pretty good about her spicy deck out there. But CakeWizLiz, she's not down. She's not out. She just, honestly, sometimes it's fun to lose your first round because now you have a story.
For sure. You got a story to tell. You can rally back, come back strong, and you can have a good tournament run. So I love to see it. And she did have you saw the white roses in there. You had some different spice in there. A lot of includes as you did get victory in this first round, as we're probably going to get the interview set up and get to know a little bit more about Ink Hearted. And I thought it was a great match. Good way to start this tournament off, seeing a little bit more Emerald and Sapphire being played. Hopefully we can get some Ruby today, Katie. We didn't see any Ruby in the entire tournament yesterday. Okay, we saw some Amber, we saw some Emerald. No one was playing Amber and Emerald together. It was a whole Amethyst power cycle. We had so much Amethyst that, you know, your ears are bleeding with Amethyst.
Yeah, and I mean, it's interesting, right? Because, I mean, we talk about the color identities of the inks and, like, what are they good at? And Ruby traditionally has been, I'm good at removal. But, like, right now, it's having a little bit of a crisis. And that's, I think, okay. At the end of the day, if all inks are all strong all the time, that's also a problem in some different way. So, I mean, it's fine. We've seen it before. We've seen colors in certain metas not be played. But it is kind of, Ruby, can you hear me? And the answer is, I saw one. It was called the Flinger Dinger deck. Shout out to Good as Boy. But it's hard. I mean, these decks are very synergistic, very powerful, and there's 298 players. One of them's got to have a Ruby.
And you're gonna bring something that you come to know and love. But before we hop in, we're gonna talk about this. We have something that's very cool, unique to PPG only, a very exclusive. You guys at home, for the viewers. I'm sorry, we gotta actually check that. We're gonna go
We've
back.
got something out over in pictures. They're glamour shots.
We have the.
Listen, this is live television.
Hey, for all you at home, I want to show you guys something. This is so exclusive, okay? I had to cut production off.
Yeah,
and we're going to go back to it. This mat right here is something that is exclusive to Pro Play Games here in Denver, and you all at home will have the opportunity to take one of these home yourself. So make sure that you are watching the stream all day long. Staying active in the chat. We will post a link of how to achieve that today. And it's a custom made, and you can kind of see it. There's a lot of intricate details. Every time I look at it, I find something new on this mat.
It's got Eye of the Fates here. And this is based on, you know, Hercules is based on some real mythology.
Yeah,
it is.
Real deal, whole
so
stuff.
we got River Styx, we got all of it, and I quite love it. We had Ursula in the last PPG Fort Worth. It was Ursula kind of themed, under the sea, and now is the underworld.
You want a hot take? Want my hot take before we get into the interview?
Yes, they need it. The people need it. They
hot take of the day. I think that the Disney version is a lot better. Greek mythology, kind of mid.
I mean, to be fair, it's good to go second.
It's kind of dark and deep. I don't want to be that stuff. But we do have some bounty players as well. We're going to show these Illumineers again for all the viewers at home who may have had the opportunity to miss it. Check that. We have Ink Hearted, who's going to be over in the interview area, and we're going to see what that Illumineer has to say.
Yes.
Yeah, you're fun. Disney fan at all?
Oh yeah, for sure. I worked at the Disney store as a teenager. And
Okay. Yep. Hey, welcome back to the interview booth. I'm here with Maureen, who you just watched take round one on Purple Steel. Maureen, how are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling really good to get the first one out of the way and to mark it as a win for myself. So yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, first game on stream, win. You're
that
undefeated
was a
on
little
stream. And undefeated in big tournaments, because you were telling me this is your first big Lorcana event experience.
Yes, I come from a town of about 1,200 people here in Colorado, Akron, Colorado, not Ohio. But yeah, so this is the first big one that we've done like this. The next biggest we've done was a 1K.
That's awesome. You're telling me very small community. How do you get your reps in, your games in?
Just a lot of play between me and my husband. That tournament, or that last game, actually worked out really well in my favor because my husband plays green-blue, and so I kind of knew the play lines and what to expect and to dump my hand if I saw the Clarabelles out there, and so kind of already had an idea of what to prepare myself for.
So this is a matchup you're intimately familiar with?
Yes.
That's awesome. So why Purple Steel coming into this event?
I played a bunch of different things. My favorite is to play the Christmas deck.
Okay.
But after rotation, it really just was not ready to go. Purple Steel has always been kind of my fallback. It feels comfortable to me. It plays with me really well. So I decided that was the best way to go.
Okay. So Purple or Amethyst Steel's done really well, so far this season.
Yeah.
So you're set up pretty well. What do you think your keys to success are for this event, knowing what's out there in the meta?
Honestly, not playing the Big Dumbo.
Okay.
Because I know everyone's playing the Big Dumbo. I tried it, and I was always putting it in my inkwell. So I find the Little Dumbo to be more useful. It allows me to give evasive to the characters that I wish were evasive, like my Calhoun and things like that. Also, Magical Aid I prefer over Hypnotic Strength.
Okay.
Because I get an extra bit of power out of it. And I don't get the draw, but most of the time that character comes back to my hand anyway, so then I can play that character again.
That's awesome. Hey, if you're telling me I don't need to go hunt down Dumbos for my deck, I'm all about it. So I'm rooting for you to go all the way with those little Dumbos. And you're also a big Disney fan.
Yes.
Favorite Disney movie?
101 Dalmatians, which is why I really love the
Oh,
pin you're
thank
wearing
you.
today.
I have a little Dalmatian pin. Thank you so much. I love puppies
Yes.
and everything. I actually just watched that with my daughter for the first time a few days ago,
Oh,
and
did
I
she
remember
love
how
it?
good it was. Yes.
Yes.
I remember how good it was. Like the whole Twilight Bark thing and
Oh,
everything. Okay, so also, this is about you, not about me. So also a long history with Disney. You say you worked at the Disney store before?
Yeah,
and-
when I was a teenager, I worked in the Disney store. Did that right before I went into the Marine Corps, and that's like the best job I ever had. If I could have gone back to that, I would have.
That's amazing. So what got you into Lorcana?
I went to my local game store, and they were celebrating their 2-year anniversary of being open, and they were doing door prizes, and I won the constructed packs for the Inklings.
Okay.
The store owner taught me how to play. I had always been kind of curious because how much I love Disney, and I took it home to my husband and was like, you should play with me. He's like, yeah, sure, whatever, and that kind of sucked him in, and then we just kind of took off from there.
And here you are.
Yes.
Shout out to your local game store, which is
High Plains Dice and Games.
High Plains Dice and Games, for promoting Disney Lorcana and getting people into this game. Congratulations on your first round win. You're undefeated.